and we will name this layer eyebrows. Now I'll switch to my brush. To use the shortcut key on the keyboard B. I'm going to open up my brush panel, and you have many choices of brushes that you can use, but for makeup it's best you use a soft brush, because you get a better effect. I have a soft round brush, soft round pressure size, and the soft round pressure opacity. Anyone will do. I'll use a soft round brush. Close that panel. Use my shortcut keys, left angle bracket and right angle bracket, to increase and decrease the brush size. Increase the brush size to match the thickness of the eyebrow. That looks about correct. I'll switch my color palette back to the default colors. Press D on the keyboard, or you can select black from the swatches on the right. And I'll begin by just gently brushing onto the eyebrow. You may want to zoom in a little bit if you prefer. The shortcut keys for zooming in are Ctrl plus and Ctrl minus. And don't worry about how it looks in the beginning, you can always edit it afterwards. Now hit the E key and switch to my eraser tool, and I'll zoom out a little bit, and just to trim off a little bit of the excess. That looks about correct. Something to that effect. There we go. Then decrease the opacity for the layer until it looks favorable. That looks okay to me. Another thing is that to note is that you have the opacity meter right here. This opacity controls the opacity of the brush before you brush, but I prefer to use the opacity for the layer, as it tends to give you a cleaner overall look than for the brush. Because with the opacity of the brush, you never know if you want to increase or decrease the opacity of the brush after having applied the brush. So that looks a little okay. Next layer would be the eyeshadow. For the eyeshadow, I'll come to my color palette, select a nice red color. Let's go dark red for now. Start on the inside. On the eraser tool, just hit B to switch back to the brush. Start from the inside. Nice clean sweep. And because we're using layers, you don't have to worry about the overlapping of your artwork. Switch back to my eraser tool, zoom in, and just get rid of the excess. Then, as I said before, just reduce the opacity. We can also utilize our blending modes. I'll choose soft light, give it a more natural look. We want to decrease the opacity a little bit. That looks okay to me. Next layer will be the eyeliner, and I'll hit D on my keyboard to switch back to black. Increase my brush size, start brushing. We want to decrease the opacity to about 50%, and this is the opacity for the brush, not the layer. Increase the opacity by about 50%. Increase my brush size, zoom in a little bit, do the same under the eye. Zoom out a little bit. Now decrease the opacity of the overall layer. Get a natural effect. Switch to overlay. Overlay blending mode. Next layer will be the lipstick. Which is a nice pink color. Looks like pink to me. And as I said before, you don't have to use the same colors that I use. Use whatever colors you feel comfortable using. And brush on with the opacity still at 56%. For the top lip, I'm going to decrease the opacity to about 35. That looks good. I'll hit E on my keyboard and switch to my eraser tool. Looks nice. Use my opacity. Oh, 45%. And soft light. See how that looks? Okay. Now for the skin, hit I on my keyboard for the colored picker, and I like to pick a color that on the face, because as you can see on the face, there are many spots where the camera the flash from the camera gives the face a shine. So to have an even or a smooth skin tone, pick a color from the face. It's not too dark and not too light, and as you mouse down and move around, You will see the bottom half of the circle represents the previous color that was picked, and the top half of the circle represents the current color that is being viewed. I'll pick something that's not too light, not too dark. That looks okay. Switch back to my brush, B. Increase the size of my brush, really big. Opacity, about 30%. And I'll just click. Never mind about overlapping on the other features. You can always edit that afterwards. You want to get the neck too, so it doesn't look as if the face is all white. I'll drag the skin layer below all the other layers. Switch to my eraser tool. For the skin layer, still working on the skin layer. I'll just erase everything that was covered. If you want, you can do the skin layer first, so that way you avoid the overlapping. You want to get right here too, so it preserve the shadows or the originality of the image, so it doesn't look too photoshopped. So Control 0.
A vast virus database has been updated.
Oh, please ignore that. As I said before, you can reduce the opacity until you find something that, suits your needs. Switch to my eraser tool again and just erase any makeup that may have gotten in the hair. That looks about good. Here you have it. This completes my tutorial. Thank you for watching and hope you had fun. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to change the colors of any of your features, you just select the layer, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, or Control U, and you play with the sliders, and as you see, you get different colors. You do this for each or every layer. Change the lipstick, Control U, this completes my tutorial. Hope you had fun. Thanks for watching.